Hey guys, welcome back to carbuyer.com.g. We're looking at the new Kia Sorento, which is totally new for 2020. We're going to find out what it's like in our review. We're also going to find out how it really pushes the boundaries of mainstream cars into premium, and how Kia, as well as other brands, are changing the face of what you expect from mainstream cars. Okay, so like we said, this is 4th gen Sorento, totally new platform, new design, new everything. And looking at the car, the first thing that strikes me, or the first thing that I think about, is really the word maturity. And we'll go back to that later on in the review as well. But for now, let's look at the front of the car. This is the Tiger nose, no longer just a Tiger grille, Tiger nose. And really, you look at this car and you look at the Sorento from maybe the previous gen or even one generation before, and it's hard to believe that it's even the same vehicle, really. Okay, now let's take a look at the front end. Now, LED headlights, full LED headlights, very large grille, tigery, roar. Nice detailing here. Kia badge. Notice how the nose kind of pops in right here. There's a little edge. This part is dark. Big air intakes and real air vents. Wow, that is impressive for car nerds, because some luxury cars don't even have real air vents down there. Helps with aerodynamics. So this is SUV, of course. The Sorento is a 7-seat SUV, so large, wide, tall, lots of road presence. We got our best plate underneath there as well. Let's take a look at the rear. Now, big Sorento word right there. If you've been watching our reviews, you realize that that's kind of one of the indicators of transferring to a premium thing. It's instead of just putting a small word at the side, you have the word spelled out, Sorento. Where else do you see that? You see that in luxury cars, like, you know, the best example is Porsche. Okay, so tall headlights here, and this is a really cool feature. I don't know if you can see it. Let's try to take a peek inside. Too much reflections. But the rear wiper is actually hidden underneath the sill. So there's a little spoiler here with the rear wipers hidden underneath. Makes the rear end look just that little bit cleaner. And remember what we said about maturity, about how Kia is behaving as a brand now. Look at this car. It's the car of a brand that is, proud of its design work, isn't copying anything from anyone, and making cars that look good. So, don't know if you would have expected that from Kia 10 years ago. Look at the previous gen Sorento, look at this one. What a huge difference. Okay, so this is a 7-seat SUV. Most important thing people will be thinking about is, can you actually fit real people in the rear seat? I'm going to try and get in. Oh, the cool thing about the Kia is it's got this little button here. Whoop. So that is quite useful. And that aperture is actually, it looks quite wide. So let's have a go. Here we go. Okay, so not so bad. That wasn't terrible. My ass hasn't been sprained. Well, if you're wondering why I said that, it's because I actually have sprained my ass getting into the back of a 7-seat car before. Okay, so these chairs are in their middle position. I haven't pushed them real far forward to give you idea of like what the real life space situation is like in the Sorento. So I'm not sure if you can see this. This chair's a little bit up. I don't know how to adjust it. But even here, if I sit here, my knees are around here, so it actually is pretty good. And attention to detail right down here. The rails don't foul my feet, so I can just put my feet here or like that, so it's relatively comfortable. There's a bit of a lump right here, so my heel goes up a bit, but that's a little bit of a distraction, so this is more comfortable. But it's not bad really. And if you look down here, a little space for my phone or whatever. There's no charging port and there is no aircon vent, sadly. There's a cup holder though, and yeah, so that actually is pretty cool. Okay guys, second row of the Sorento, lots of space as you expect. Pretty good leg room, shoulder room's pretty good too. This is a very wide car. Headroom is obviously quite good as well because it's an SUV, and you will notice the panoramic sunroof above me. That's quite nice. Quite a nice touch as well. And remember what we said about premium versus mainstream. Now, in an SUV, 7-seat SUV, you wouldn't expect much by way of amenities in the rear, but the Sorento does have some cool features. 1, 2, 3. Turn you around. There's one of those Boss seat adjusters. Quite good. So, you know, USB ports here. Strange place to put them, but there they are. One more USB port down there. 12-volt socket. Aircon vents, although no blower control for the second row. Now, in terms of boot space, there's automatic tailgate on this model. We have 821 liters of boot space without the third row in play. With the third row in play, that goes down to 187 liters of boot space, which is not bad. 821 liters is a lot of space, and obviously if you fold down the rear seats, which you can do with the button, very useful there, you have even more space. I don't know what the exact figure is, but it's a hell of a lot. So doing the IKEA run is not going to be a problem. Alright guys, cockpit of the Sorento. What you'll notice first is, of course, the screens. Now, 12.3 inch driver active instrument display, 10.25 inch infotainment touchscreen. It's getting to be almost standard in mainstream cars these days. So, you know, even cars like the Hyundai Avante have that. Toyota Corolla Altis also has a touchscreen as well. You know, some of the Skoda models, some of the Volkswagen models also. So the Sorento's not the first car to do this in the so-called mainstream segment, but I think we'll see later how it pushes forward from mainstream towards premium, and especially if you consider Kia as a brand. Alright, so driver active instruments display. You can scroll through as usual. So info, tension level, tire pressure, normal things, urea level. We'll go back to that. We'll go on to that later. Configuration and content. So that's a new thing. You can actually customize what you want to have on your menu. So that's quite a cool feature, and a new one for a Kia anyway. Okay, so 10.25 inch infotainment display. You notice that we can do the whole split screen thing again, kind of like a BMW or a Mercedes there. You can also customize the home icon. So what do you want on this? You choose. And also, again, like the external design, what strikes me about the Sorento here is how it's moved forward level, not just in terms of quality, but also maturity. Now, let's look at this down here. This is leather, nice stitching, satin chrome, again, satin chrome here. A nice little kind of, I don't know what this is, not really a herringbone pattern. But obviously the quality is above already what the previous Sorento had, and that was pretty good for a mainstream car. Oh, look at this. There's a little additional aircon vent down here. That's nice. I like that. So that I don't get air blowing into my eyes all the time. I can also adjust it to my body. Not bad. Alright. So, big surround in gloss plastic. A bit like the Seltos. I don't quite like that. I think gloss black is getting to be a bit overdone. But it's not too bad. Alright, look at the central console. Tall air vents here. Oh, this is a nice touch. The aircon controls are capacitive buttons. Nice and smooth to touch. And look at this switchgear here. And down here, smartphone charger. That, yeah. Cool. Oh, we're charging, and you see up there, if you're not charging right, it'll tell you. Very clever, very nice to use. Aircon seats. And this is a new thing for the Sorento drive mode switch. So if I switch this, you get comfort, eco, sport, and smart, which is kind of the adaptive drive option. Again, this is a new thing for Sorento. Let's look at this parking camera. Aha! Wow, 360-degree parking camera. So just fiddle with it. You can customize your view, look where you want to go, and zoom in and out. Interesting. And look here again, there's that same metal herringbone. I think it's plastic actually, but it looks like metal and it feels pretty okay. Good. So look at all that, and that all really looks quite nice, well presented, premium. So the difference, we're not saying it's a luxury car. No, Kia is not a luxury brand, but it is bringing premium features to this segment at a very price competitive level. Again, it's not the first car to do that, or not the first brand to do that. Let's look at Mazda with the CX-30. We have a video on that, and that really put a lot of advanced technology in the hands of mainstream users. Not the cheapest car around. Same deal with this one. And to talk about what you're getting for the price and the premiumness, and again, just like the Mazda, this car is full of active safety features. So let's take a look. Right here we have adaptive cruise control. We also have naturally blind spot indicators as well, blind spot monitor. So what is new on the Sorento is the blind spot monitor feature. If I signal to the left, they show me what exactly is in my blind spot. Signal to the right, same thing. Now we've driven the Sorento, and this is a very useful feature to have anywhere in the world, Singapore included. So if you looked at the cabin and the cockpit, and I hope you got a feel of what we're trying to say, that the Sorento is really bringing things forward another level, and that's really not a surprise. I mean, look at what Kia has been doing in the past decade. You had cars like the Stinger, that's the most visible and, well, the most obvious example. But also Kia, also cars like the Sorento. I mean, look at the design of that car, and look at the design of this car, and now look at the interior. Especially you compare this car to the previous Sorento, it's almost night and day. But it's not just the materials, not just the features, but also the presentation and the entire idea almost behind the car is the same, but the presentation has gotten a lot better. Everything feels a lot more well put together. Like, listen to that, clock, clock, tick, tick, tock. You know, the switchgear. I mean, sometimes you guys might wonder why the hell we're so particular about little things like that. Listen to the wipers. It's almost as if the engineers went over everything with a fine-tooth comb and made sure that nothing sounded bad or nothing rattled terribly. And that is part of what we're trying to say when this car feels premium. It's not a luxury car, but it feels a level above what we would expect previously from the mainstream SUV segment. And complementing that really is the way the car drives. Now, this is the Sorento SX Tech Pack. It has a 2.2 liter turbo diesel engine. That's a new engine. I mean, everything is new platform, new engine, new everything. And this car, 202 horsepower, 440 newton meters of torque. It's really nice to drive, honestly. Like we said, the theme here seems to be maturity. And on the road, the Sorento behaves really, really well. It's an SUV. It's a big SUV, 7-seat SUV. Usually that means the ride's not going to be that good, but it's actually very well sorted. You go over the bumps, you don't get that feeling of being jiggled around. You know, you go around the corner, you don't feel like you're gonna fly off into oblivion. You didn't have to adjust the steering 2 times to get through the corner. It's in, smooth, adjust, out, everything's very progressive. Of course you have your drive modes, but drive modes aside, the car just feels well sorted. The gearbox, 8-speed DCT. This is not Kia's first go at a dual clutch gearbox, obviously, but it's gotten better and better. There's nothing that stands out. The shifts are imperceptible, they're smooth, the gearbox doesn't seem to be in the wrong place, doesn't seem to pick the wrong gear at the wrong time, that kind of thing. And like we said, it just feels very mature and very well sorted. If we had any complaints, it's maybe that the diesel engine sounds a bit grunty, gurgly at some parts, but the strange thing is modern gasoline engines like the Prince engine in the Peugeots and the BMWs sound like that as well sometimes. Volvo's direct injection gasoline engines sound exactly like diesels, so really it's not in that bad company. And of course, adding to the driving experience are the safety features, which just help you smooth everything along. Oh, and also the Sorento is really refined. It's very quiet on the move. If you're not hard on the gas on the diesel engine, other than that, it's smooth flowing, and the diesel, of course, is really quite frugal. And I think when Julian drove this car, he managed to get under 7 liters per 100 kilometers, which is some kind of minor miracle considering it's Julian. Yeah, so the Sorento overall is a very impressive car. But now let's talk about trim and which one to buy. Now there are three of them here, and the basic SX model is about 100 and mid 160s. The SX Tech Pack is about 170, mid 170s, and the top of the range GT line is 180, 10 grand more than this car. So Tech Pack gets you the Bose sound system, gets you interior lighting, gets you the active safety features as well. And for 10 grand over the base model, I think that is very much worth it. We're always a big proponent of safety features. If you can afford them, please get them. They pay for themselves in the long run, and we speak from experience. But the GT line, another 10 grand above that, you're getting close to $200,000. That's a bit of a stretch for a Kia. I think for some people, the brand perception isn't quite there yet. The GT line adds four-wheel drive, and also its VES penalty is higher than this car, 10 grand more. But effectively, you're almost getting a sort of a free upgrade in that sense. But I would recommend this one, the SX Tech Pack, because you don't really need all-wheel drive in Singapore unless you do intend to eventually go to Malaysia if you're allowed to. And also to talk about rivals. Well, rivals, we have a lot of 7-seat SUVs that we have driven recently. One is the Mercedes-Benz GLB. Now, that is a really interesting example of the GLB. It is going to sell so well in Singapore. But if you compare that car with a 180k price tag to this one, blindfold two people, put one in the GLB, take them from that, put them in this, and ask them which one is the Mercedes. And I'm pretty sure they're going to say it's the Sorento. The GLB is a smaller car, but it's not as refined as the Sorento. It has more technology, but not as much active safety. And, you know, I think it's a great contrast to see what you're getting for your money. The Kia gives you a lot of car for the money, a lot of features. The Mercedes gives you obviously the premium feeling of buying Mercedes. But the rear seats aren't as good. The space is not as good. See that the Kia is really moving things forward like the Mazda CX-30. And to talk about CXs, Mazda also has a CX-8, which is very similar to this car. I think it drives a little bit better. The interior presentation is a bit more European. It's very worth checking out the Mazda 2 if you're interested in the 7-seat SUV. You also have the Peugeot 5008, which we just presented in a Facebook Live event for Peugeot. I'm still having that problem. And that is also worth check out because it also has a cheaper Cat A 1.2 liter engine variant. Okay guys, so that is our review of the Kia Sorento, the 2020 model SX Tech Pack. If you found this video useful at all to your life, please like it, subscribe it, and ding the bell. Also visit carbuyer.com.sg to read the full review of this car as well as all the other cars we mentioned in this video. So thanks, drive safe, bye bye.